You're watching WAC Hoops Live, brought to you by WAC Hoops Digest.
What is up, everybody? It is an episode of WAC Hoops Live here after we just got done watching quite the ball game. I'm going to bring in Chelsea, and we're going to bring in Matt Adkins with us tonight, guys. That was quite the ball game. I'm going to start with you, Matt. I know you're shaking your head right now. 91-89 SFA gets the job done in double overtime. Kind of a wild ending to regulation. Latrell Giselle and Nana I want to say Boa Siako fouled out. Just a wild game. Let's share some thoughts with the fans here that are watching with us tonight.
Yeah, I mean, a few minutes ago, I tweeted out probably halfway through the second overtime. I said something like, "If you're an ACU fan or an SFA fan, this game is completely normal. Like this is exactly what SFA fans and ACU fans are used to." I know you guys have only seen a couple years of this, newish rivalry, but these games, no matter where they play it at, no matter what time of the year it is, it comes down to something just crazy. It's always a very tough game. Obviously, two very similar programs, played very good defense, two great coaches, and there's always some sort of little controversy as well along the way, something that doesn't seem to sit right. But yeah, I mean, that was wild.
So Chelsea and I were watching it in the broadcast. We're sitting here checking it out at the end. I'm trying to figure out why AJ Kajus just didn't hit a pull-up jumper like he did down the stretch there in double overtime. Like, that's all you needed to win the ball game in regulation. But he tried to go in with the trees, and obviously we saw what happened there. Like, that was pretty wild.
What a performance. 8 of 15 from the field, 9 from 9 from the free throw line, 29 points, 7 assists. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I think I texted you before the first overtime, and I would just clear it out for AJ here and see what he can do. And yeah, I mean, turns out probably pulling up for a jumper would probably been the best decision because it worked out there in the second overtime.
Yeah, and you talked about this whole thing with ACU and SFA. I believe in the 5 games now that they've played as WAC members, the only game that was not really close was that game at WAC Vegas last year in the quarterfinals when the Wildcats won 76-62. But like last year in the Sawmill, it was Day Hall hitting the turnaround jumper as time expired to win the ball game. In the WAC opener, SFA got out to a 12-point halftime lead before ACU kind of came back and made it a ball game before SFA won. Like, talk a little bit more about this rivalry and how crazy it is that these two schools just there's a ton of familiarity there too. Like I wrote about in my preview with Brett Tanner and his assistant. Gosh, now the name doesn't. Yeah, so they both were at SFA. Like, there's tons of tie-ins here. So just talk about this rivalry that people, I don't think, talk about enough.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's definitely one of the best. I mean, and it really honestly goes across all athletics when it comes to the football games as well. I mean, they're always big-time rivalry games, but on the hardwood, I mean, dating back to when ACU joined the Southland, I mean, they've been hard-nosed. Like you said, Brett Tanner was an assistant at SFA. Antonio Bostic played at SFA and was either an assistant or a grad assistant before he left for ACU. So, yeah, they know each other very well, very similar systems. Again, they play hard-nosed defense. It's never going to be an easy game for either side. It's always fun to watch, but also tough to watch sometimes too.
It so is. Let's walk through this whole end of regulation issue that happened. Okay, we'll go back to it. AJ Kajus goes to the hole. I believe it's about with 15 or so seconds left. Throws up a shot. Doesn't even get halfway to the rim. It's grabbed by Day Hall. No, it wasn't grabbed by Day Hall. Somebody from SFA, I can't remember who it was, grabbed it before it went out of bounds, tossed it back. It kind of bounced off Hunter Jack Madden's hands, before before Day Hall got possession of it. The shot clock went off. Like, it didn't buzz. Like, it went off almost like it reset. So SFA played on. There was no whistle, no nothing. It should have been a shot clock violation. Like, I think we could both agree that it should have been a shot clock violation. But it was play on, and then AJ Kajus gets fouled by Arian Simmons with about 4 seconds left. Well, I think Abilene Christian wanted Arian Simmons to foul there so they could stop the play to get that review. Like, did you, in that moment?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. What was the last thing you said?
Sorry, my internet's bad right now. I don't know why, but the play that when Arian Simmons fouled AJ Kajust, it kind of felt like ACU was telling him to foul to get that review possibly going because they knew that it was a shot clock violation that should have been called.
Yeah, it seemed.
Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I mean, I didn't really tweet anything out about that, but it seemed very intentional, which would have made sense in any other circumstance.
Yeah, and so they went back, reviewed it. And I'm sorry if I'm going in and out. My internet is bad right now. I'll try to get that fixed here real quick. But they reviewed it, called it a shot clock violation. About 13 seconds put back on the clock. ACU gets a shot. Damian Daniels doesn't go. Like, I understand SFA fans are upset, and I kind of get where if it's going to be a play on, you can't go back and review something that happened seconds before. Like, that's my thought on it. But I also think, in a sense, the officials did get it right because it was a shot clock violation. Like, I don't know. It's one of those officiating things that it's hard to really – I don't know. It's hard in those moments because your team has a chance to win the ball game, but now you're giving another chance to the other team to win the ball game because of an operator error. It's kind of wild how that finished out.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen a situation like that before. I mean, I've seen obviously shot clock and clock operator errors, but normally I felt like those normally go to some sort of possession error or just to go back. I mean, I've never seen it really go back to make it a shot clock violation when the team that is getting punished got the ball back. So it was kind of weird because, you know, it seemed like more of a judgment type call. I mean, assuming SFA wouldn't have been able to put the ball back up if there's still the shot clock, you know, back on the 3 seconds or whatever it was going to be. So it was definitely interesting. I mean, I still do agree. I mean, it was a shot clock violation, but it's in my opinion, it was hard to take the ball away from SFA at that point. I mean, taking the foul away from Simmons would have been fine, and the possession arrow would have been maybe I don't know if that was the right call or not, but I don't think I've ever seen it before.
I don't think any of us have seen it before. Chelsea, what do you think at the end of that ball game? You kind of started watching that double overtime, kind of a wild finish.
Yeah, I mean, that's the exact kind of basketball that you love to watch. I mean, you're talking about the rivalry there, but really in general between any teams, you love a close game. I mean, that's why we're in this industry, right? Is for close games like that. I think it definitely stressed out the SFA and the ACU fans, but especially right at the end of that second overtime with the back-to-back really clutch shots and some free throws there too to clinch it. It's just really fun to watch, and it's unfortunate that the end of regulation was that way, that it led to that, but the performances that we got in overtime were really great.
I am sorry for the disruption, guys. I was trying to set out with my Wi-Fi. I apologize if we went in and out there, but I really didn't get the setup because I was so intent on the game that it was hard to. So that being said, SFA improves to 10-5 overall. What is that? 10-5 in WAC play, 18-10 overall. They have a chance to get to 20 wins this year. I don't know. They're still going to be in sixth after, tomorrow's games in the WAC seeding system. They do have a couple opportunities here. We'll break it down a little bit real quick with Matt. They've got Sam Houston next week at home before going to Utah Valley. 2 quad 1 opportunities for the Jacks. I'm trying to look up who they have on Saturday. Matt, maybe you know. Oh, they have Sunday, CBU. That's right. I'll be there. What am I talking about?
ESPNU.
It's the ESPNU game. So I feel like they have to win out to give themselves a chance at a top 4 seed. Like it's still in reach, but they have to win out and get a little help. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say the main thing is I think they're going to need the help. Unfortunately, I mean they've got big opportunities against Sam Houston, and more so when they go to Utah Valley, because obviously a road win would help them in the point system so much more than a home win. But even then, I mean, sitting in the 6th spot, you're almost full 2 points behind Seattle in 4th place, which would be tough to make up even with 3 wins. Without Grand Canyon and Seattle losing. So I think they definitely need some help along the way too, unfortunately.
The tough thing is GCU, I think, has maybe arguably the easiest schedule left of teams. We're going to go to it. Chelsea, I'm sorry. I don't mean that to be rude against your team, but I really think the Lopes have the easiest record left because they host Seattle on Friday, and then they play Southern Utah and Utah Tech on the road. So maybe not. I mean, there's chances there for the Lopes to lose. But SUU, they play Sam Houston this weekend. They have a chance at a quad 1 win. It's just one of those things. You gotta get some help, SFA. Unfortunately, those 3 losses, and I won't say what they are, but those 3 losses we know are going to be a killer for the Jacks. Matt,
yeah.
We appreciate the time, man, and fun ball game tonight, 91-89. Jacks get the win. That's they did the same thing last year though in the regular season play where they beat ACU twice. So they probably hope they don't see them at WAC Vegas this year.
Yeah, I mean, no matter who they get, it's going to be tough in WAC Vegas. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat any team 3 times in one season. So I agree.
Absolutely. We'll be right back, everybody. We're going to talk UTRGV women who got a win tonight over Tarleton to clinch a spot at WAC Vegas. Matt Adkins, thanks again, man. Have a good night.
Thanks, Kyle.
Get ready for an entire week in WAC Vegas. More teams, more games. The 2023 Hercules Tires WAC Basketball Tournament. March 6th through the 11th at the Michelob Ultra Arena and the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. For ticket information, go to wacsports.com.
All right, we're back. As you can see, WAC Vegas is coming up right around the corner. We are less than 2 weeks away. Actually, on this Wednesday night, it'll be the quarterfinals of the Women's Basketball Western Athletic Conference Tournament. Should I rephrase that? I should rephrase that, shouldn't I? Western Athletic Conference Women's Basketball Tournament quarterfinals will be taking place 2 weeks from tonight at the Orleans Arena. So get your tickets so you can be there. It'll be the 1 through 4 seeds on display against the winners of the 5 through 12 games. Chelsea, we're going to talk about this women's side. UTRGV got a 66-58 win over Tarleton that solidifies the field for WAC Vegas, as Tarleton is now eliminated. They have 2 games left. They're 2 games behind Utah Valley, and Utah Valley owns the tiebreaker, so there's no way that they can catch them. And UTRGV, with its win, clinched its spot now with 4 wins in WAC play. So Anna Dorsey had a nice night against her former team. She went for 27 points, was 7 of 17 from the field. We were talking about Star Jacobs for UTA prior to the show. It's so hard to see such good players that won't be in consideration for Player of the Year because their teams aren't at the top of the league. But Anna Dorsey did what she did against her former team. She's been doing it all season. Let's talk about this game for a little bit. Like, Tarleton was in the ball game until the 4th quarter. It's so different, the changing quarters from men's to women's basketball.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the box score too, I mean, there was some great performances on both sides. Ayanna Dorsey, definitely the main reason they were able to take the W. I mean, 27 points, can't argue with that. But yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, they were really in it the whole game, and it was not until that 4th quarter that UTRGV was able to pull away, and as you talked about, now Tarleton, I think 1 for 15 now in conference play. So obviously out of the tournament now. I think that's not super unexpected based on how they've played this season, but it is unfortunate because they do have some really solid players on that team. Just this absolutely wasn't their year. So we'll have to see what they do in the offseason to improve and what they do next year.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about they're 1-15 in WAC play, 7-20 overall. They've lost 11 straight. Crazy thing is that Tarleton has been in some of these ball games, like they were tonight through the 3 quarters, and they even got within, I believe it was within like 4 or 5 in the 4th, but just couldn't finish it out down the stretch. So they'll have some time to figure it out. Unfortunately, in their first year eligible for the WAC tournament, they won't be going. UTRGV will be back there again. The seating is still up for grabs right now. I'm looking at it as it stands right now. UTRGV would be the 10 seed if it was to start today. Utah Valley would be the 11, and Seattle U would be the 12. The 11 and 12 seeds are separated by about a tenth of a point, basically. In the seeding system, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. Let's talk about that women's side real quick as we kind of finish out here. SFA or Southern Utah beats SFA on Saturday, right? So they're my internet keeps going out. I'm sorry. I'll fix this the next time we have a live stream tomorrow night or tomorrow for the busy day on Thursday. But Southern Utah has a 2-game lead, but they're not going to be the 1 seed if they win the regular season championship, which they could clinch a share of this week with a pair of wins. That's pretty crazy to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, especially since I think a lot of people counted SFA out after, arguably one of their best players with an injury before the season even began. And yet they're still arguably 1-2 in the conference. So in SUU, obviously, no one was expecting them to do the things that they're doing right now. And both of those teams are so terrific. I think you really can't complain about either one of them being able to clinch the number 1 spot.
Yeah, it's going to be, that'll be the interesting to see how SU responds to it. Being the regular season champ, but most likely not being the 1 seed at WAC Vegas. They actually probably need a lot of help down the stretch here, and I don't think when I look at SFA women's schedule, I'm not sure that the SFA women lose 2 of their next 4, 3 of their next 2 of their next 3. They have Sam Houston on Thursday night, then Tuesday they have New Mexico State, and then a week from Thursday to finish out the regular season they have UT Arlington at College Park Center. So I don't see SFA losing 2 or 3 of those games. So I'm going to say right now the SFA women are going to be the 1 seed. Southern Utah will probably be the 2 seed unless, something crazy happens in the final 2 weeks for the T-Birds, who are 13-1 in WAC play. They host California Baptist and Grand Canyon next week. They're at Abilene Christian this week, tomorrow, I believe, and then I'm going to look it up here just to verify. But they are on the road in Texas, I believe, this week. At ACU tomorrow night, and then at Tarleton on Saturday. So they should possibly win both those games. But either way, it's going to be a fun finish. It's going to be a wild finish. Seeding will not be determined until the final day of the regular season next week. And we're just racing towards WAC Vegas. Chelsea, any last words on this kind of wild night, double overtime game on the men's side and the women's WAC Vegas, I guess, field is now set. So any last thoughts?
I just think that, and I was talking to Michael Potter about this from GCU. I was talking to him about how on both sides, any team can beat any team any day. And I think that is just such a fun part of the WAC. There's a lot of conferences, I would say most conferences, Power 5 or otherwise, are not like that. Like, you can pretty easily predict who's going to take a game any day. In the WAC, it's not like that at all. And I think that's the most exciting part about watching basketball in this conference, especially this year, is just, it's not predictable. And it's so fun to watch games that are like that. I honestly think on both sides, there's at least 3 teams that could win the entire thing this year, which again is not something that happens a lot. So I think it's something that all the WAC fans out there should not take for granted, because it's not something that happens in every conference by any means.
100% agree. I think this is going to be a wild, wild WAC tournament in 2 weeks. I'm excited for it. Get your tickets now on WACsports.com. You get all your info there for your WAC tournament tickets. I believe the tickets for Michelob Ultra Arena, so the first 2 days for the men and the women, tickets go on sale, I believe, on the 26th. So what is that, Saturday? Is that right? The 26th, Sunday. So get those taken care of. Anyways, for Chelsea, for myself, for Daryl, everybody else, have a good night. Thanks for chiming in to WAC Hoops Live, and we'll see you tomorrow on another episode of WAC Hoops Live as we preview the busy day ahead around the Western Athletic Conference.
Be sure to follow WAC Hoops Digest on all our social media channels and subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss an episode of WAC Hoops Live.